Welcome to the Have It All Marriage for the Have It All Life podcast, where your marriage has a 100% chance of success if you do it God's way. And that's really what we're here to talk about, is how to do it God's way. And in today's podcast, the topic is problems and possibilities and the path. And so there's four main problems that I've observed in over 20,000 breakthrough calls. And problem number one is that you have no deep understanding of how to make your wife feel better in every interaction. So therefore, she ends up feeling worse in most interactions, and she shuts down to further interaction. Now look, man, with everything going on in your life, there's no time to figure out what it is that will make interactions pleasurable for her. And so you end up like a dog to his vomit, repeating the bad interactions, interaction after interaction, without a container to contain her. Look, women want to be contained. What does that mean? It means to be kept within safe limits and in a safe space. Now, here's the thing. She wants you to keep her emotionally in a safe space, emotionally within pleasurable limits. You are the chief emotions officer, as I have said many times before. And if you are failing or abdicating your duty, your responsibility, and your solemn obligation to keep her in a emotionally safe and emotionally pleasurable place, well, this is problem number one, and you've got to understand that it is happening in every interaction. When women say it's the little things, they're not kidding. It's the 20-second interaction when you walk past her. If she did not feel better in that interaction, I can promise you she felt worse. And so that's problem number one. Problem number two is that you have no way to undo the damage done by these bad interactions that pile on top of each other. Therefore, the damage done gets more intense. In other words, yesterday's slightly bad interaction becomes today's horrible interaction. And if you've ever wondered why it is that sometimes she'll just explode or fly off the handle at things that are seemingly innocent or at things that was okay yesterday, well, it's because these things are cumulative and the damage piles up. And if you don't have a way to undo the damage from bad interactions, then it gets worse. That's how you end up in this place where months or years or decades after you got married, it seems like there's just no way to fix it because there is no consoling her because she is so deeply and desperately unhappy. When this happens, she begins to dread interaction with you, and she either stays away from the home or stays locked in what is now her bedroom, whether she kicked you out of the master or whether she went and got into one of the guest bedrooms, or maybe she's already separated, whatever it is, man. When you're in this space where she just can't get away from you enough, this deprives you of the opportunity to work on the marriage and repair the damage, or even attempt to, because let's face it, as we've already discussed, you don't have the ability to repair it. That's problem number two. Problem number three, your wife's now wall of unforgiveness, her wall of unwillingness to work on or attempt to repair the marriage, drives you to do some really dumb stuff. And listen, man, I have heard it all before, whether it's following her around, whether it's putting trackers in her car, whether it's snooping on her phone, whether it's talking to her mom or talking to her friends or talking to her sisters or talking to your friends, whether it's yelling and screaming or pulling away or listening to the idiots who are like, well, just ignore her and let her come back to you. When you start doing this really dumb stuff, at some point, something breaks, something tears, and something kind of pushes her over the edge. It's usually at this point that either somebody moves out or she decides to divorce you or she goes and talks to a lawyer. And at this point, you just feel helpless and unable to fix anything. That's problem number three. Problem number four, inside of the space of all of the above, you completely fall on your sword. You beg her to come back. You promise that you'll change. You ask her why she's doing this and why she's willing to hurt the kids, and doesn't she remember the good times? And look at all the good ways that you've been and the good times that you've had. And you blame her and you threaten her and you literally push her over the cliff of deciding not that she wants to divorce you, but that she must divorce you for her mental, her emotional, and for her physical health. If she doesn't divorce you, she feels like she's gonna die. Coming back from this can be extremely difficult for a man who didn't even understand how to solve problem number one, let alone problem number two and problem number three. And the bottom line here, brother, is that you have not done the work necessary to perfect your ability to resolve marital conflict at any level and to ensure that she feels better in every interaction, no matter whether she's in problem number 1 stage, problem number 2 stage, problem number 3 stage, or problem number 4 stage. And at this level, you just don't have a chance to resolve anything. That's problem number 4. Now let's talk about the possibilities. Possibility number 1 is you have actually mastered the art and science of and deeply have understood how to make your wife feel better in every interaction, even in those level 4 interactions, so that she feels better in most interactions and she opens up to further interactions. She wants more interactions with you and she wants them to last longer. Look, man, you got to get on this game field, this battlefield. You got to put in the reps and sets. You get to perfect your emotional leadership skills once you understand that there is an art and science of making her feel better in every interaction and learning how to become the man who can do it, and then practicing it with everyone around you, with your kids, with the people you work with all the relationships in your life. You're putting in those reps and sets so that you master the art of making her feel better in every interaction. This works even when she has decided that she must divorce you. This is your way forward. This is the first possibility that must become true for you in your life. Possibility number 2. You become a ninja master expert in reversing the damage done by your past bad interactions, and you undo the mountain, and as each issue gets resolved, all the other issues are less painful to her. Listen, man, you got to understand this cuts both ways. In one side, as the interactions pile up, these bad interactions pile up, they all hurt more. But as you begin to take down off the pile and resolve these issues, they all hurt less, and even future slip-ups don't result in the blow-ups and the explosions of that you're experiencing now. All the other issues are less painful. So in that space, she begins to look forward with interaction with you, and either stays at home or decides to come back into the bedroom, or moves back in if she has moved out. And this opens up massive opportunity for you to work on the marriage and actually repair the damage. Look, man, we started out with some guys, they were in such a bad place with their wife. All he got with her was a 2-second handoff to talk to his kids on Zoom once a week. And we were still able to help them to deploy possibility number 1 and deploy possibility number 2. And now they are happily married, and some of them are the testimonials that you see in my various marketing. So this is possibility number 2. Possibility number 3. Your wife drops her wall of unforgiveness, and she drops her unwillingness to work on and attempt to repair the marriage. And for the first time, you are now making massive progress on repairing the marriage. It's usually at this point that somebody moves back in, or she decides not to divorce you, or to push the pause button and say, you know what, maybe I'm being hasty here. Maybe this man is the king I thought he was when I married him, and I don't really, you know what, logic and reason are starting to come into my head, and I don't want to hurt my children. I don't want to tear down my finances. I don't want to start all over again. I don't want to be back on the dating market with my post-childbirth menopausal body. I don't want to be a single mom. I don't want to have to pick from the rejected frogs of other women who have divorced their husbands, because my husband has mastered possibility number 1. He has mastered possibility number 2, and inside of that space, it opened the door to possibility number 3. And in this space, my brother, you feel powerful and you feel able to fix anything. This is possibility number 3. And possibility number 4 is inside the space of all of the above. You stand up like a man, like a leader, like a king, and you attract her back emotionally, and you attract her back physically, and you attract her back intellectually, and you attract her back spiritually, and you attract her back sexually, and actually change and become an elite level husband and attract her more strongly than ever before. So much so that you become the flame and she becomes the moth. And one day she wakes up and realizes that, and she understands she wants to be led by you to become a better person, because now you have the moral authority and you have led on that path, and you have become such a better husband that she now in that space is able to see what she was not able to see before and understand what she was not able to understand before. And that's that she too had faults and flaws inside the marriage, and she too needs to work on herself, and she too needs to find some problems and possibilities for her to pursue as well. Inside of that space, you get back that happy, laughing, dancing, tickling, pleasing, playful, cuddling girl who kisses you with soft lips, who wants to straddle your lap and interlace your fingers, and who wants to hug you with her full body, where she's laughing and teasing and playing more than you've ever seen and smiling more than you've ever seen, because you have done the work necessary to perfect your ability to resolve marital conflict at any level. That's who you are. It is no longer who you want to be. It is your identity. It is your core as a man. It is who you have become. These are now not so much skills that you are wielding, but it is who you are being. It is how you are showing up. And that is the most powerful way to go forward in your marriage. At this level, you have become both affair-proof and divorce-proof. That is possibility number 4. So what is the path? How do you get from the problems to the possibilities? And I'm going to tell you the way you get from the problems to the possibilities is you ascend the path. And there are 4 steps on that path. And the 4 steps are that number 1, you must ascend your inner king. Ascend your inner king means become a guy who can create a frame of unbreakable certainty around his emotional strength so that he can be the chief emotional officer and lead her to a better place in every interaction. And then ascend your outer king. And this means developing and delivering the elite level husband skills of doing and saying what we do and not doing and saying what we don't, and mastering that elite level marital communication skill where you're able to resolve these issues and convince her the frog who has hurt her in the past is dead and the king who has risen from the frog's ashes is here to stay. And then number 3, you're going to ascend your queen. And that means get her back on her throne, feeling like a queen, feeling like a wife, feeling that love, feeling that connection, feeling that joy, feeling that bliss, and wanting it more and more, and understanding that in this space, she doesn't want to lose you, and she needs to work on herself and become a better wife. Inside of this space, the two of you are working together in a way that is going to bring glory to God's kingdom and is truly going to model the relationship between Christ and his church. And then path number 4 is you've got to ascend your kingdom. This means you can't stop. You can't take your foot off the gas. You've got to keep building. You've got to keep growing. You've got to keep going, man. You've got to keep learning, and you've got to keep making this a priority every day for the rest of your life, so that as you expand into this identity, as you expand into this man who is now unrecognizable to the man you are today, you're going to look back after this path, after this journey, and you're going to look at the weaker version of yourself who didn't understand this and didn't know how to pull this off. And you're going to look back with compassion and empathy because you didn't know. But now you know, brother, and now you move into a life that is a marriage and a kingdom and a working partnership where all of your high school fantasies are coming true and all of her high school fantasies are coming true, and you are leading your children to come up in the same way, and you're executing on God's great commandment and great commission so that your entire family hears, "Well done, good and faithful servant, enter the kingdom of heaven and receive your rewards." Now, the path to get to these 4 paths, these 4 ascensions, starts with the ascension of yourself. You have got to ascend yourself. Brother, no one is coming to save you, and God says you are to lead your wife. She's not going to lead you into this process, and no one's going to come save you into this process. You have got to step forward. You have got to raise your hand. You have got to say, "I too must become one of these real men. I want to join this real man revolution. I want to get on these ascensions. I need to ascend myself so that I can ascend my inner king, my outer king, my queen, and my kingdom." And if you want help with that, I want you to go to www.realmanrevolution.com, www.realmanrevolution.com, and I'll see you on the other side.